The mummified corpse hanging in the funhouse wasn't supposed to bleed. When a Universal Studios cameraman grabbed what he thought was a wax dummy during a 1976 $6 million Man shoot and the arm snapped off, exposing bone and desiccated tissue, nobody screamed. They just stared at the thing that had been painted day-glow orange, wondering how long a dead man had been dangling there while kids laughed underneath him. 65 years, as it turned out. The body was Elmer McCurdy's, and he'd been making other people money since 1911, longer dead than he was alive, more profitable as a carnival attraction than he ever was as an outlaw. The photographers arrived before the coroner did, because in 1976, like in 1911, a corpse was only worth what someone would pay to see it.
McCurdy's criminal career lasted 90 days. Before that, he'd been a drifter with a talent for nitroglycerin that he picked up in the Maine mines, back when his mother was still pretending his actual father wasn't his employer. Born in 1880 to a teenage servant girl, raised thinking his grandfather was his father, Elmer discovered the truth at 16 when the old man died and left him exactly nothing. He headed west doing what men with his particular shame always did, moving fast, working hard, drinking harder. By 1907, he was in Kansas mixing black powder for mining operations, but peacetime labor didn't suit a man who'd learned early that legitimacy was a lie other people told. He joined up with a crew running moonshine, graduated to robbing trains, and discovered he was spectacularly bad at both.
His first job netted him $4 and 2 jugs of whiskey because he blew the safe so hard the bills inside burned to ash. The second robbery, a general store in Oklahoma, brought in about $80, split 4 ways, hardly enough to justify becoming the most wanted men in the territory. His gang dissolved after that. Even criminals have standards. So in October 1911, McCurdy decided to go solo, targeting a Katy train rumored to be carrying $400,000 in royalty payments to the Osage Nation. He flagged it down with a red lantern near Okesa, held up the crew at Winchester Point, and spent the next hour trying to crack a safe that wasn't there. The train was carrying passengers and mail. The actual money train had passed through 3 hours earlier. McCurdy escaped with $460, 2 demijohns of whiskey, and a manhunt that involved 3 posses, 14 deputy marshals, and 1 very motivated sheriff who didn't appreciate train robbers operating in his county. 3 days later, they found him in a hayloft outside Pawhuska, drunk on his own stolen whiskey. The shootout lasted less than an hour. McCurdy fired until his ammunition ran out, then took a single rifle round through the chest that punctured his lung and likely severed his pulmonary artery. He bled out in the hay, surrounded by deputies who probably spent more on ammunition than McCurdy had stolen. They hauled the body to Pawhuska to an undertaker named Joseph Johnson, who figured he'd hold on to it until someone claimed it. Nobody did. McCurdy had no family willing to acknowledge him, no gang left to bury him, no friends with the cash or inclination to pay for a funeral. So Johnson embalmed him, really embalmed him, with enough arsenic-based preserving fluid to mummify a pharaoh, and waited.
Then Johnson made the kind of calculation that separates morticians from entrepreneurs. He stood the body upright in his funeral parlor, rifle propped beside it, and charged a nickel to anyone who wanted to see the bandit who terrorized Oklahoma. Visitors stuck the coins in McCurdy's mouth, a grotesque offering that Johnson pocketed every evening. For 5 years, the bandit who wouldn't give up became Pawhuska's most reliable tourist attraction, pulling in more revenue than any job McCurdy botched while breathing. Photographers posed beside him. Children pressed their faces close to his leathered skin. Johnson kept embalming him, kept collecting, kept telling the story with embellishments that made McCurdy sound almost competent. In 1916, 2 men claiming to be McCurdy's brothers arrived to finally take him home.
Johnson, perhaps feeling guilty or perhaps just bored of his exhibition, released the body. The brothers were carnival operators from Arkansas, and McCurdy's new home was a traveling sideshow where he was displayed as the outlaw who never got away. For the next 60 years, Elmer McCurdy toured America more extensively dead than alive, appearing at county fairs, wax museums, and haunted houses from Texas to California. He was sold, rented, traded, and eventually forgotten so thoroughly that by the time he ended up in the Long Beach Pike Amusement Park funhouse, nobody remembered he was real. Workers who repainted him annually assumed he was fiberglass. The operator who bought the funhouse's contents in 1971 listed him in the inventory as mannequin, Western theme. The 1976 discovery triggered a forensic investigation. Dental records, newspaper accounts from 1911, and that distinctive bullet wound confirmed the identity. The coins, decades worth of corroded nickels, were still inside his mouth when they x-rayed him. Oklahoma officials claimed the body, and in April 1977, 66 years after he bled out in that hayloft, Elmer McCurdy finally got buried. The service was small. They interred him in Summit View Cemetery in Guthrie, pouring 2 cubic yards of concrete over the casket to ensure nobody could ever profit from him again. The headstone lists his dates and nothing else. No epitaph about the outlaw life. No mention of the 60 years he spent as merchandise. Just the years, 1880, 1911. Everything after that, the state of Oklahoma decided it didn't count. Here's what nobody put on the marker. Elmer McCurdy earned more money dead than 99% of legitimate workers earned alive during the same period. Adjusted for inflation, those nickel-per-view exhibitions probably generated $20,000 across 6 decades, exponentially more than the combined take from his 3 pathetic robberies. He became exactly what he'd failed to be in life, a profitable commodity, a story people paid to experience, proof that in America, success isn't about what you do, but what people believe you did. The carnival larkers who invented his legend made more off his corpse than he ever stole from anyone. The final joke wasn't that he failed as an outlaw, it's that he succeeded as entertainment and didn't earn a single cent from it. The mummified corpse hanging in the funhouse wasn't supposed to bleed, but when it did, everyone suddenly cared about a man they'd been ignoring for 65 years.